As promised, I'm going to be updating you guys on GigaTexas construction, but before we begin, I got to give some mad props to the amount of work and detail that Jeff Roberts is putting into this channel. He's the one that's been flying a drone over the GigaTexas construction site every single day. He's been interviewing construction analysts and experts, and the footage looks amazing. The amount of work he puts into his videos are awesome, so please do check him out. And thanks to his coverage, we actually can get a few more details on how Tesla is rapidly getting ready for construction at this factory by the fact that it's been 1 month since Elon officially confirmed that GigaTexas is happening, and since that Q2 earnings call where he said, okay, construction for GigaTexas has technically already started. 1 month later, they're already leveling the ground and starting to roll out a ton of that gravel along this long strip here, and looks like getting ready for official groundbreaking. In fact, the amazing thing about this progress is that these pile drivers have already started showing up despite not the entire piece of land being completely level yet. This is absolutely scratching a few people's heads because originally at Giga Berlin, which by the way is progressing at an amazing pace, they're ahead of the schedule they were already ahead of, but even there they didn't start the pile driver process until pretty much the entire plot of land was leveled and prepared. Right now there's still a lot of land leveling going around and bulldozers moving a ton of dirt around the property, and yet they're already bringing out the pile drivers, which for those who don't know is basically how they prep the land for foundational work. They're starting to dig rods deep into the ground to make sure that it's stable and ready for more and more concrete and of course the foundation of the facility to go up. So how or why are they implementing the pile drivers already? I have a few theories that, again, I'm no construction expert, so take everything with a grain of salt. I'm not here to tell you this is news. The pile drivers went in last week, but I do have a somewhat reasonable assumption as to why they're changing the pace of things with GigaTexas compared to what they did in Giga Berlin, which honestly, it could just be a legal thing. Maybe the permits require that all the ground be level in Germany before the pile drivers begin. In the US, it doesn't require that. I don't know, but my theory is that this first line of the factory, which as we saw in Giga Shanghai, Tesla's factory approach usually involves just a really long assembly line, and that's why you see in Shanghai just these really long buildings that all the parts come together in, and the Model 3 construction slowly makes its way across the factory so that on one end you have a bunch of metal in coils going into the factory, and on the other end you have a completely functional and safe Model 3. I think we're going to see something very similar with the Cybertruck here, as they're obviously laying the gravel across this long strip, because the truck is going to be built so drastically different than previous generation Teslas that they want to get trial production started a little bit sooner than usual. You know, building the Giga Berlin factory, they're working on, constructing a Tesla that Tesla is already making. It's being built in Fremont right now, and yeah, Giga Berlin will use state-of-the-art paint shop and redesign casting processes and that kind of thing, but they've basically built these types of cars before. There's body panels, there's casting presses and paint shops and that kind of thing. They have experience here, whereas Cybertruck, no paint shop, no body panels. It's going to be this unibody exoskeleton that uses a lot of stainless steel, and getting it to the shape they need it to just involves a lot of pinching and applying pressure to certain parts of the steel and heat, which means it's not being built the way Tesla has ever built cars before, which in my opinion means if they can get the general assembly line up and running within perhaps the year, as in 12 months from now, which I know sounds really ambitious and fast, but typically at Giga Berlin, we didn't see groundbreaking take place that long after the pile drivers showed up. Typically, if they're getting the ground ready for foundation work, it's because they want to start building. And just because the general assembly line will be up and running does not mean that full-scale production can begin, because my guess is that at GigaTexas, given this is their largest facility yet, they want to also be building batteries and powertrains here. So just the general assembly is one piece of the puzzle, but the reason they want to prioritize general assembly is because they can ship powertrains and batteries over from Fremont or Giga Nevada, which is producing a ton of batteries anyway. So if they want to start trial production and let's say just start making 10, 20 Cybertrucks within a month, they're not ready for full-scale production. They just want to see how the assembly line works, and they want to start prototype testing them, probably give them to a few Tesla employees. We can see them driving around, but it doesn't mean that deliveries are going to happen in August of next year. I still think it's going to be end of year Q4, probably November, December of 2021, because obviously they're going to need to also build up the battery production plan and the powertrain production area at GigaTexas. However, if they can get trial production up and running about a year from now, that means that they can experiment and figure out, okay, how exactly do we mass produce this stainless steel exoskeleton beast? This is what I think they need the most practice with. This is what they need to prototype the most right now, because Tesla Tesla's built tons and tons of batteries. They know how to do that. They've built tons and tons of powertrains. They know how to do that. It's mainly just this general assembly that's going to be so different from both the Model 3 and the Model Y that they need some months of training and experience, and that's why general assembly for the Cybertruck, which is this long stretch here, is going to be prioritized first. I'm guessing we're going to see trial production take place around August, September of next year, and then hopefully in the last few months of 2021 they can get the battery production area and powertrain production building up and running, so that way general assembly has experience. They've done trial production, they've experimented with mass producing the Cybertruck, and now they can of course build all of the batteries and powertrains locally and start mass producing the vehicle by the end of 2021. That's of course just speculation on my part, but that's a lot of this channel. If you don't like speculation, don't subscribe, because you're not going to enjoy what I have to say most of the time. But what are your guys' theories on why they're showing up with the pile drivers so early? When do you think this factory is actually going to be operational? Feel free to hit me up over on Twitter, join my Discord. Let's chat more about it over there. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.